In this tutorial, we're going to talk about dummy coding and contrast coding in SPSS. Dummy coding and contrast coding are used for the situation where there's categorical variable. So we're going to look at two types of regression. One is simple linear regression and another one is multiple linear regression. So let's look at the simple linear regression first. So simple linear regression suggests that there's only one predictor. So here is the gender. And so the dependent variable is what? It's a writing score. So we're going to use gender to predict students' writing score. So let's go to SPSS to look at how the data looks like. So this is the data. So this is our independent variable. So the variable name is called female, but you have female and male, two categories. And the writing score is here, which is continuous variable. Yes, so this is our dependent measure. So we can create, so since that this is string, we can create another new variable and with numbers. How can we do that? In general, I prefer to use syntax. So this is the syntax to create a new variable. So when we say that the old variable, if the female equal female, we're going to create a variable called gender coding is equal 1. If female is male, the gender coding new variable will be 0. So you highlight this and run it, you will create a new variable called gender coding. So let's run that to see what happens. Okay, yeah, you can notice this just earlier I did some practice. So this is the result, yes. So it shows that our code ranks, so it's good. Let's go back to SPSS to see whether if this new variable is created. So come here, as you can see that this new variable was just newly created, and one female is 1 and male is 0. It means that we successfully create a new dummy coded variable. So instead of using this one, we're going to use this one, the newly created one. So we hit the analyze regression linear, and then okay. And then, so we put the writing as independent measure and the gender coding, which is independent variable. And then we just hit the run button, yes. As you can see that. So we're going to focus the constant, which is the intercept, and the regression coefficient. So in constant is 50.12, and gender, the regression coefficient is 4.87. So we can write as a statement. So we can write this statement as so this is we use dummy coding, and this is the intercept and the regression coefficient we just got from the SPSS output. And another case, we're going to do the contrast coding. So different from the dummy coding, 1, 0, contrast coding is 1 and minus 1. So we can go back to SPSS and recode this variable as contrast coding. How can we do that? So here's the syntax. So this is dummy coding syntax, but this is contrast coding. So the female part is the same, 1. But the male part, instead of 0, in the contrast coding, we code it as minus 1. And so we run that, and then we will go back to SPSS. We can see that. So the female one is still 1, but the male one becomes like minus 1. So it means that we're using the contrast coding. So we can hit the run button, regression linear. So we run it, it will be, so this is now is the contrast coding. So yes, we run it, and then we go to get the regression coefficient for the intercept and the slope. Yes, 52.56, 2.44. So we can write this statement. Yes. So now we got the result for the dummy coding and the contrast coding. The question becomes that, what do they mean? What's the differences? We can see that because we use dummy coding and contrast coding, these two types of coding result in different intercept and the slope. So how can we understand this? In order to understand this, let's just first look at the dummy coding. So we can replace the gender. If we want to calculate the writing score for the female, we can replace gender as 1. So we can do that. Let's replace gender as 1. So this will calculate the writing score for female. And we can also calculate the rating score for male by replace gender as 0, because we use dummy coding 0, yes. So now it's just the what? It's the intercept, yes. So we now get a rating score for female and a male. So we can also do the same thing, similar thing for the contrast coding. We can replace the gender as 1, represent the female. So we can see that now this is 55, yes. Basically the same, yes. This is just routing error, routing differences. So we can see that the female part is the same. And also the male part replace the gender as -1. We also got the 50.2.12. So this is the same, yes. So we can see that regardless of dummy coding and contrast coding, and actually can get the same result. So you can see the differences between female and the male is what? 4.87. Yes. So we can see that U is a dummy coding, its intercept, its slope, actually is the differences between female and male. When you use contrast coding, basically you need a thumb tool with the slope in order to get the differences. Now you understand the meaning of the slope better. We're going to look at another situation like the multiple linear regression. So multiple linear regression means that instead of one independent variable, there are more than one. So here we're going to use like writing score is predicted by gender and the social science score. So let's go to the SPSS to look at how the data looks like. If we come to SPSS, we can see that the social science score is continue. So we do not really need to do any coding for the social science score. We're going to continue doing the coding for the gender, and then we'll see how it goes. So we'll do the dummy coding first. We're going to run the dummy coding. So now this is dummy coding, yes. So we're going to do the regression. So now instead of do 1, we're going to add a social science score because it's multiple linear regression, yes, and then just click continue. So we can get the intercept and 2 slope, and we can write in as a statement. So this is for the multiple linear regression. This is the statement. It's the 2 slopes and 1 intercept. Similar to simple linear regression, we're going to do that again for the contrast coding as well. So this is like female is 1, male is -1. Yes, so let's go back to SPSS to run it to see how it looks like. So now we're going to use contrast coding. Yes, so we need to run it to change from dummy to contrast coding. We can go back to SPSS. We can see that this is the contrast coding. Yes, so we're going to run that. We do not need to change anything because we just changed the coding. So now this is contrast coding, this is social science score. We do not need to do anything with coding because it's a continuous variable by itself. And we hit the run button. Okay, I can see that now is the intercept and 2 slopes. And then we can write a statement for the contrast coding as well. So this is the statement for the contrast coding. As you can see that the intercept and 2 slopes, most of them are different, except the social science score are the same. But the intercept and the gender, the intercept and the regression coefficient for the gender are different across these 2 types of coding. In order to understand what they mean, so let's again do the same thing. First we'll go for the dummy coding. We replace the gender as the 1, yes, and we just keep this as the same. We do not change anything. So we use gender as 1, we get this 1, yes, and this is the same. The social science score we do not going to change, but we just change the gender as 1, and now we change the gender as 0. So we can see the differences between these 2, male and female. Difference is 4.28, yes, because this is the same, this is the same. So then this is the 4.28 represents that the difference is the male and female. Again, we're going to use the 1 and -1 to represent the female, the male. Now this is what? The differences between these 2, this statement minus this statement is what? 4.28 as well, yes. So now you can see that we know that the differences between male and female, the writing score is 4.28. So you can see that if you use dummy coding in the multiple linear regression, the regression coefficient for this dummy coding variable represents the difference between these 2 levels. in contrast. You use contrast coding, and then the regression coefficient for the categorical variable, then you need a time 2 in order to get the differences between these two labels, namely here is male versus female. In order to calculate the differences between male and female in terms of writing score, you need a time 2 for this regression coefficient. So we can see that similar. This basically, regardless is simple linear regression that we discussed earlier. Yes, simple linear regression. Here we can see that for dummy coding, this regression coefficient for the gender represent the difference between male and female, but for the dummy contrast coding, it needs times 2. Yes, and we can see that this is the same thing for the multiple linear regression. Dummy coding, it represents the difference between male and female, but for the contrast coding, it needs time 2. So hopefully, out of this tutorial can give you a better understanding regarding dummy coding and contrast coding in linear regression. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will do your best to answer your question. Okay, thank you.